Legend of Mana for the PlayStation is a game that received a mixed reception within the RPG fan community. Some people really love it and some people loathe it. In this episode of the RPG Fanatic, we'll explore why. Now, the Mana series, known in Japan as the Seiken Densetsu, or Legend of the Holy Sword series, is one of Square's RPG franchises. Although never as popular as Final Fantasy, this series has its devoted fans, and some of its games are considered cult classics. The plot premise for this story is that the Mana Tree was burned down during an ancient war. To protect the world, the Mana Goddess sealed away the people inside magical artifacts to protect them while she recovered. The player takes on the role of a hero chosen by the Mana Goddess to revive the world, which is achieved by performing a wide number of quests. Now, some people feel that the story is poor because it lacks a central storyline for the player's character. This, I think, is short-sighted view. I don't feel it is a rule that the player's character always needs to have a story devoted to him. Instead, the player is caught up in the storylines of side characters, which are, in my opinion, very well thought out and developed. Now, most of the stories are rather lighthearted and for the most part enjoyable, but don't expect a deep plotline centered around your character because you play a silent protagonist with zero personality. I think it is worth mentioning the Mana series is known for its many references to the Final Fantasy games, and this one is no exception. There is an Onion Knight, and one of the story characters, Pearl, is dressed as a white mage. Legend of Mana also has references to previous Mana games. Most notably, the save statue looks like the sprite from Secret of Mana. A blacksmith named Watts is also present in this game, and he helps your character learn blacksmithing. Almost all the bosses are based on bosses from previous Mana games, most notable the Dragon Zombie, and of course the series mascot of Rabbites also makes an appearance. Now there are a couple references to other Square games as well. The Jewel Beast boss in the Juby story arc is almost certainly a reference to the Jewel Beast and Romancing Saga, and the Deathbringer mini-boss is a reference to the final boss of Saga Frontier 2. Anyway, most of the quests you do in this game are just one-shot events that may or may not have anything to do with the main 3 story arcs. One of the most frustrating of these events is the Fairy's Light. During this event, you need to sell 6 lamps to Deadbears, who are apparently illegal immigrants to Fairydale because they are the only characters in this game who don't speak English. To make matters worse, you need to speak to them in their made-up Deadbear language, which is kind of like having a conversation with Special Ed after he's had heroin for breakfast. One word for all other creatures? These bears are a bunch of racists. Dubba. Dubba-bubba. Dabu. Gawk. Dabba baba? I can't even pronounce this shit. Dabba baba. Get out of my head! Get out of my head! This is the language of the devil! Hey, we've got a knock at the door.
Hello, lad. You've been chosen by destiny, fate, the gods, whatever it is you believe in, to become a hero.
Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying it.
If you're not buying, then why don't you just give me your money and we'll call it a sale? Wait! I was just making a jest. In truth, what I have to offer won't cost you a dime. It only costs a nickel.
What?
Opening! Yeah, this is nice. I could definitely hang out here, at least until my arms get tired.
You don't have any arms.
A minor detail. Say, I noticed you were playing The Legend of Mana. I'll have you know I had an uncredited role in this game. See, I am the Student Sword.
The Student Sword?
That's right. Surely you've heard of the Master Sword. Well, I'm the other guy. The sword a hero uses until he becomes a master. Anyway, why are you playing this game?
Well, I'm doing a game review on it.
You're a game reviewer, are you? What you should be doing is reviewing your life. For example, I don't see a pretty girl anywhere in here.
I'm working on it. I just haven't found the right girl yet.
Yes. Well, holding out for Mrs. Right is fine and all, but might I suggest Mrs. Right now? She's easier to find and less needy.
I need to get back to my review. You can hang out here since you seem harmless, but don't get in my way.
Sure. Just pretend I'm not even here, because I won't be. I'll be in the kitchen, rifling through your refrigerator.
Now, some professional reviewers of this game have claimed that Legend of Mana lacks gameplay depth. Allow me to make it clear, this game has more depth than any other action RPG I know of. The real problem is that this depth is deeply hidden within the system, so unless you tinker around or you read strategy guides, you'll never notice how the game actually works. The game has what is called the land make system. Basically, throughout the game you will unlock items that create new locations on the map, depending on where you drop them. The precise area that you put these items has a huge impact on how strong the enemies are, what items are available there, and even what events can occur in these lands. There is also a calendar system that determines the strength of magic and what events can occur when you visit an area. A day passes each time you move to a new land, each day is associated with a different mana spirit. Also, The order in which you place locations and trigger events has a huge impact on what other events can be triggered in the other locations. If this wasn't complicated enough, the land tiles have mana spirit levels, and this also impacts the strength of monsters, what items appear, and what events trigger on this map. For example, on one land you need a Druid level of 3 in order to recruit a secret pet, Chobin Hood. The English strategy guide for this game was created by Brady, and like many other guides was extremely inaccurate, so at release English players had no real strategy guide for this game. Now over the years some dedicated players have figured out the perfect map placements. I tried to reproduce one of these ideal maps, but I screwed up, so I just said fuck it and continued playing the game. If you really want to see how ideal maps are laid out, check out the Game FAQs page for this game. There's a detailed system on how to do it. Speaking of a system, Legend of Mana also has a fairly detailed combat system. Firstly, there are quick attacks, which is just spamming the X button. Next are power attacks, which are activated by hitting the square button. Then there are plunge attacks, which are performed by moving the direction pad in certain ways while performing a plunge attack. A character can also be slotted with abilities that let them perform special functions like jumping or defending. Finally, characters can unleash special attacks called weapon techniques, and if the character has a drum, they can perform magic attacks. Your character can also equip a variety of weapons, and in addition to determining what special attacks you can perform, they also serve as the class system. When you level up, your stats will increase depending on the type of weapon you have equipped. For example, a two-hand sword awards your character higher attack bonuses than a staff, which instead gives more magic damage bonuses. Now there are some things I dislike about this combat. In previous Mana games, you could charge up your weapon attacks by holding down a button, and your character could still move around the battlefield while you're charging. In Legend of Mana, you instead just press the attack button and your character is locked into place as you wait for the attack to charge and go off. I hate this. Unless the enemy is stunned or doesn't move much, or the attack has a wide range, your special attack will miss. The game's crafting system is another problematic area. Blacksmithing allows a character to forge powerful items, but nowhere in the game is this system explained. In Japan, Square included the information about the system in a strategy guide, but this guide was never translated to English. Over the years, some dedicated players have figured out ways to produce powerful items through trial and error, but the system is not completely understood. This goes for the land make system as well. I don't understand why Japanese developers intend their games to be used with companion strategy guides, but don't bother to release this information when they bring the game overseas. I feel this is the #1 reason why these games have been slow to catch on in North America. Although I'm not a huge fan of playing with strategy guides on my lap, I do feel that games like this would have stronger sales if players could just understand how to frickin' play them. Now for those seeking a larger challenge than the crafting system, the game offers what is called the Nightmare Mode. Nightmare Mode increases the levels of all monsters, making them harder. While playing in Nightmare Mode, items can be tempered much stronger than those in normal mode in order to compensate for this difficulty, and it is generally impossible to beat the game on Nightmare Mode without well-crafted items. There is also No Future Mode, an even harder difficulty level. All enemies in No Future Mode are level 99. Note that after clearing the game, you have the option to start the game over, keeping your items, money, and pets, so that you can challenge the entire game on the difficulty modes. There is no real benefit for doing so, you don't really unlock anything special. Personally, I'm torn on this game. On the one hand, this is a game that most people will never fully appreciate because the land make and blacksmithing system is so damn complicated. You absolutely need a strategy guide to know how to play. On the other hand, this game is a hardcore action RPG gamer's dream come true. Not only does the game have a huge replay value in trying to unlock new secrets or find more efficient ways to use the land make system, but it offers multiple difficulty modes and co-op play. So this is my verdict. If you're a huge Mana series fan and you enjoy self-imposed challenges, such as speedruns or min-maxing, Legend of Mana has a lot to offer you. For everyone else, play it, but don't expect to fully understand how everything works, or see all the stories available in the game.
Why don't you review one of the difficulty modes? Show the kids how it works.
I don't need to do that. The difficulty modes are the exact same game. The enemies are just higher level.
If the game is too hard for you, then you should make yourself less attractive. Try putting a bag over your head. Actually, that might be an improvement.